Ryan and Michelle, and welcome to the Celebrate MarriageCast, where we hope to restore and reclaim godly marriages through honest and real conversations.
Welcome to episode 24, and welcome back to our guests. Today we have Leonard and Roberta Scholten.
Hi.
Welcome back, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a little bit about our guests. They are longtime celebrators, Celebrate Community Church, our home church here, producers of the Celebrate MarriageCast. And you guys have been married for almost 62 years, coming up in June here, which is incredible. They're faithful members of our church. They're actively mentoring through our marriage ministry here. They love the Lord and they want to serve Him and use their experiences in life and in marriage to help others for Jesus. So welcome back to our show.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, welcome back. So glad you guys are back. So just the premise to this. So some time ago, you guys shared some nuggets, tips, just on your marriage based on the last almost 62 years of marriage. And I love what you called it, ramblings of a seasoned couple. Mm-hmm. So you guys use it in your mentoring, serves as a great starting point for conversations. So in our last episode, we walked through some of these tips.
Yeah, it was so good. Go back and listen if you haven't listened.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to touch on a few more today. So maybe just again, if listeners hadn't listened to the last episode, maybe you guys could just do a little introduction of yourselves.
Sure. Leonard, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm Leonard and Roberta, and like they said, we're just about 62 years into marriage. And has it always been great? There's been a couple of bumps here and there, but nothing that we couldn't figure out. And I think that's one of the things that kept our marriage going is we did have a problem. We tried to figure it out and have it over with, rather than for it to linger on. And through the marriage or through the years, I've learned a lot of things. Yeah. Learned things I should do, and I learned some things I shouldn't do.
We probably both have.
Has it felt like 61 years?
No.
Mm-mm.
I feel like maybe 40.
Yeah.
Maybe 40 years, but.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I don't know where I was the other day. We were having this conversation about how do you feel? How old are you and how do you feel? And I feel like the older we get, like I feel like I feel a decade younger than I am easily.
Yeah.
And
I
I
would
think
agree with that.
even for our marriage, we've been married for 12 years now. It does feel like that. Sometimes not really not.
Yeah.
I know it's been 12 years. In my head, I know it's been 12, but it doesn't, it feels like 5 or something. Mm-hmm. But then, I see our kids and they're older and I'm like, well, I know it's been longer, but it's like that.
Yeah, when I think that I've got a daughter that's 60 years old,
Wow.
then I think, sure, I guess I am a little older.
Wait a minute.
Sure.
Yeah.
When I was younger, when I was in my 20s, people that were in their 80s, I thought, good grief.
1 foot in the grave.
They're really old.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that way. I think you're as old as you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are people that are 50 years old that are really 95.
Sure.
Yeah.
If that's the attitude you're going to have, you got to have an attitude of living, I guess.
Yeah.
Is a good word.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why we like to stay around young people.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think young people keep us young.
Yeah.
We enjoy our grandchildren. We have just one granddaughter and 3 grandsons,
So
all
fun.
married. Everybody's married and has kids. But and the 2 of the grandsons live a little further away. We can still see them in a day. I mean,
Yeah.
they
So
don't
fun.
live close.
Yeah.
And when they come, they always call and say, let's go out to eat, and we get to catch up.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun just listening to them, where they are in their life, with their kids and their jobs and whatever.
Yeah.
Over Christmas, they had Christmas on New Year's Eve day, and one of the sons, on the night before, had one of our sons, the grandsons, had a son that wrestled in Rock Rapids. And
Okay.
we have never been to a wrestling meet.
Oh,
Never.
okay.
What chaos that is. Anyway, so we went and he wrestled, and then we went home and had a little bite to eat and stuff. And we went over to the mom's house, and it was just fun because their friends came and just sat down and had something to eat with us and played cards with us and conversed.
So fun.
I mean, I just love
Yeah.
young kids.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you shared too last week about feeling young and keeping young, being in the church community with our younger people, and some of your habits you talked about, having hobbies that keep you young, being in a life group. And today we're going to talk about 3 of your tips that you gave in this document, this ramblings from a seasoned couple, which what a great gift we have for you, our listener. We're actually going to post that whole document in our show notes. But the first thing we want to talk about today is this idea of saying a greeting in the morning. Tip number 1 for today is greeting each other, saying, I love you, good morning, giving a kiss. Can you talk to us about that habit?
You want to start?
Sure. One of the things that we do, it's not that I get up and give her a kiss right away in the morning, but I at least say good morning. We may not look very good at it when we get up.
Nobody does.
We're old and we don't look so hot. But just to greet each other, to let you know that we're still alive. When we go someplace, this is something that I don't know why we started it, but we do it. Whenever we leave the house, we just give each other a little peck.
When one of us leaves.
When one of us leaves. Just a little peck, because you never know if you're coming back.
Yeah.
I love that.
It could be the last time.
Yeah.
And it's just something we've done.
For many years.
For a long
That's
time.
so good.
Yeah.
But I think the greeting, even the good morning, it means, I am very truthfully not a morning person. So
I'm not either.
he is more than I am. But if when I come out of the bedroom and into the wherever he's at, good morning, he always says, and if he'd say, well, good morning, I would be crabby right back, just because I'm not a morning person. But he's cheerful with the good morning, and I am cheerful back.
Yeah, it makes you feel good.
That starts out your day right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing I like to do is when we walk past each other, a gentle touch.
That's nice.
It's just maybe a touch on the shoulder or a touch on the head or a little squeeze maybe. That just makes your day go better, and you feel better about each other.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think it's so important how you enter and exit the house, and like you said, how you start the day. Our son, do you remember this, Ryan? Our son would come over and he'd be like, I'd be sleeping, you guys, and he'd be like, Mom, can I get a granola bar out of the cabinet? And he's just cuts to the chase. So I finally was like, I'm not okay with this. So I started saying redo. I'd roll over and be like, redo. And then he'd be like, oh, good morning, Mom. Can I get a granola bar? So trying to teach our kids too that hey, it's a new day. God put breath in our lungs. Let's greet each other. But I feel like we do a good job of that, saying good morning and goodbye, giving a kiss before we leave.
Yeah.
So that's great advice.
Yeah.
Listeners, I hope you can implement that. It's such a simple thing to do, but just meaningful.
Right. And for your kids too, when you have kids, to send them off with a good feeling.
Yeah.
I worked as a Title IV aide for a period of time, and some kids really don't have a very good start to their morning, and they're little or they're young, and they get to school and you can kind of tell they've got a downer morning.
Sure.
And that's hard on them all day long then. They kind of feel down. So it's important to be that way with your children.
Yeah, I try to fill his little bucket up before we're driving in the car, and I'll give him some affirmations. And I know other moms that do that too. They'll sing a song or whatever, but just try to like plant those seeds in him before he goes out into the world. And
Sure.
who knows what's going to happen. So that's great.
Yeah.
Well, we've started one other thing now in the morning, is we do crosswords.
Oh, okay.
That's our
Keep your
first
mind
thing.
sharp.
Yeah.
So we're trying.
Well,
Yeah.
Some days we're not so sharp.
Oh, I think this is such a great segue to the next tip, and I love this. It's never say any demeaning words or hurtful comments. And I think it's so important as we talk about, as you're talking about greetings in the morning, just about how important that is, that if he's crabby and says something mean, well, you're going to respond right back, And so I think this is so great. Like, I'm assuming this took time for you guys to develop, or did this just happen for you guys?
Mine could happen quite early in our marriage.
Well, I think we more or less just said, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
we just we really just made an agreement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
And
It's easy when you have let's say especially friends over and you're kind of talking back and forth or whatever, to kind of make some comments that are a little bit not so nice, and just as fun. Everybody
Yeah.
thinks it's fun,
Yeah.
But it's not.
but it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And we just kind of agreed early in our marriage, just don't do that
Yeah.
because it hurts the other person.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
And so we just really.
we really have not.
But when I am out, let's say in a restaurant or whatever, and I think of the younger generation, I don't know what to call it. I think it's called smack talk or something like that. It's kind of smart talk
Sure.
that they do
Yeah.
in their own group of people, and I hope they don't carry that over into their marriage and
Sure.
Yeah.
smart talk around their spouse.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the spouse that's hearing it, it's not pleasant for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And probably they don't think that it's bad, or they don't maybe mean anything by it.
Yeah. I read something the other day about like you shouldn't say mean things about yourself because your brain doesn't know the difference. And like that can take root. And I would think the same would be about your spouse. Like if you're joking and saying something negative about your spouse, I feel like it plants little negative seeds, and it's just, I don't know, uproot that. That's not good. We've tried to do that. I mean, I would say we do that.
Yeah.
We're really aware of that. And if it's, if something goes wrong and I'm, calling a store or something to do a return, or I don't know, I like, even if maybe it was a ball drop, something happened and Ryan forgot, I still wouldn't ever tell them, oh, my husband forgot this, so now I need to reschedule. Like I just say like, hey, we need to reschedule. Like,
Right.
But things like that.
Yeah, I think this is one tip that I think you will see immediate changes in your marriage.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
If you implement this, I am a firm believer that words are so important, and what you speak out, really goes in to your spouse. And I don't care if it's a joke. Those things do take root, and they matter, and they hurt. And I just like this one, I guarantee will instantly change. If you start using words to lift your spouse up, to lift your family up, to lift your kids up, you will see a change.
Yes, definitely.
Whether they're there or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think this is also so important for your kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
If they see you, like I'll just use for an example. If I'd be bad-mouthing her all the time,
Yeah.
my son probably would think, well, evidently that's the way you treat him.
Right.
That's the way you treat your wife or whatever.
And I've been with men or guys, and you get lippy and you start saying things that you wouldn't, but you do. And then they start calling their wives. One of that really grates me is when they say that's my old lady.
Oh,
I mean, that just
yeah.
it gets me. But years ago, you got to remember we're a little older. That was very common.
Yeah.
I mean, men said that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't think I hear it much anymore, but back then you heard it a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe they have something different to say nowadays.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
could be that I don't know what they're talking about. But
I don't know. I mean, I feel like sometimes we play sports and sometimes we'll hear that, but we don't really tolerate that. I think so. I don't feel like I hear as much because I think people know that we'd probably shut it down if we heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do
Yeah.
you hear stuff like that at work?
I mean, that's one thing that I'm the same, Leonard. That when I hear that, or the ball and chain or something like that, of like
that's
nails
right
on a chalkboard.
Oh man, yeah,
Yep.
that's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I just
But when I was mentioned before, we went to the wrestling meet, and our grandson and his wife were talking about how some of the parents talked to their child after they lost the wrestling match.
sad.
I mean, these kids they're second graders. I mean, good
like
grief.
Thomas.
They're not
Yeah,
even in
he's in
school.
Yeah.
Well, they're in
Wow.
school. They're in school.
They're
But
little.
Yeah.
well, the one I was talking about he's in a second grader. But I mean, it was very verbal.
Well,
We all heard
the one dad,
it was bad.
and I mean, he just blurted it out.
And swear words
Swear
on
words.
top
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
This poor kid must have gone home feeling
yeah,
like he was a
Right.
failure
right,
because our granddaughter-in-law said, I would like to have taken him home.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
You know-
hug him. Yeah.
right,
That's saying,
So that's
sticks and
something,
stones
too, to
can break my bones.
watch.
Words will never hurt. That's a lie.
That
Yeah.
is
That's
a
right.
lie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's so good. And I love what you said, Ryan. Something you can implement now and see results on.
Yeah.
So just be aware of your words because that's can be life-giving or life-taking
Yeah.
by the power of your words.
Yeah.
So tip number 3 for today is to keep yourself well-groomed and pleasing to your spouse. Ryan, you know what I realized about the 1,000 viewer week that we had?
yeah.
It was also the week that we announced and showed the results of your beard grooming.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I wonder if that was a correlation.
Yeah,
If people
probably.
tuned in
It probably
to
was.
see, and we're
Yeah.
still looking for the curl brush so we can do the big hair swoop. You kind of have a little
Yeah.
swoop, but I feel like you do really good on that. I got my haircut today. I tried
Yeah,
that,
you
but
did. Yeah.
anyways, I just was reading this and I was like, I feel like we try really hard to do
Yeah.
that. Tell us about that. What does that look like for you guys, and what do you mean by that? Elaborate a little more.
Well, I just think it's important for yourself
Yeah.
to
Confidence.
you don't have to be dressed in wonderful clothes, but it can be clean and it can, your hair can be clean and combed. If you wear makeup, put a little makeup on or don't, but have so that you look fresh anyway. We kind of comment sometimes when we're in a store in these last years, how people really don't seem to fix up to go to the store.
Sure.
Sometimes they look like they're there in their pajamas. And I just think you should have more pride in yourself to make yourself look decent before you step out or when the day starts. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think your spouse would feel better if you look decent. You don't have to look like you're a supermodel, but just to look decent. It's not to say that if you're working like a farmer, for example, if he's working in the field and he breaks down, he's not going to go in the house and get dressed up.
Right.
He's going
Right.
to go to town the way he looks. But
Yeah.
people understand why.
Yeah.
But it's where they don't wash their hair for a month, or they don't comb it.
Sure.
And you can see that. I guess if I look at myself, when I was in high school, I probably would have kicked myself in the rear end too, because I had all these fancy hairdos.
Sure,
But
Right.
they were stylish.
I had the Balboa, and I had all kinds. I had enough Brill cream in my hair that I could have oiled a car.
Do you have any pictures of these that we could maybe it could be so
we
fun
do have
to see
pictures.
the hairstyles of Leonard?
I mean, I can't imagine what I look like sometimes.
I can't imagine his pillowcase that his poor mother had to wash.
When did you start dating? How old were you when you started dating? Did you know him during these phases and stages of hair?
I went to town school because we lived in town. He came in 6th grade from a country school to 6th grade.
So you knew him since he was young.
And so I've known him since 6th grade, but we started dating in 9th grade.
9th grade, I think.
Yeah.
And we dated like for 7 years before we got married. So
you have seen a lot of hairstyles.
I
And probably vice versa.
that's true. And he's seen quite a few of mine too.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
I can relate back to my hairstyles. It was something.
It was greasy.
Yeah.
Greasy.
And then if it didn't stay in place, I'd put a little spray in it.
Well, now they have this thing called hair training where you actually don't wash it for so many days and it gets less greasy. So I think I wash my hair every 4 days, but you gotta train it to do that.
If I left mine 4 days, I just get greasy.
You'd be back to the greasy.
Well, even without the Brill cream.
Yeah, without the Brill cream.
I'm thinking about the listeners here, and I'm thinking about what people are thinking with this. And I get people work the third shift. They're nurses. They might run to the store in their scrubs, or you're in a season of life where you have young little kids and it's all that you can do to even get out of the house. And if it's in your sweats, maybe it will be. I'm the same. I don't really feel comfortable ever going to the store in sweats. And I'm a little weird about leggings too, unless I'm working out and then I wear longer shirts and stuff. But or I'm going to the gym, but I don't typically run around in leggings. Our daughter does, but that's kind of the style. So I think some of the styles change. Some of it I think is pandemic. All of America was working in their pajamas and stuff. But I think I totally get the heart of what you're saying, that it's like still putting effort forward, right? Because a trip to the store, because your little one's sick in your joggers or whatever, that's fine. But not letting that be every day. Don't stop trying. And one of the things that you had in your notes was, when you think about when you were dating and how fancy you would get.
Oh, yes.
And certainly Ryan loves me for me and we know each other's hearts, but I get what you're saying, that put effort into it. And I just got my hair cut today.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Looks
Ledges
nice.
off. So just a quick haircut. I need to get it dyed yet. But yeah, that effort that we put into it to be pleasing to our spouse.
Well, and you're right. There are times when, you're going to run to the store
It's just
and
crazy.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're busy and whatever. But I'm just thinking this as a kind of a personal goal to try to make yourself as pleasant looking as you can.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work, but that should be your goal anyway.
Yeah. And I think what you said, Roberta, is that do it for yourself too. I mean, that's just, the other day, our daughter did my hair in these, I think it was for last week's episode. It was these double braids and I felt so good about it. And then I started getting all these compliments and I just had a little more pep in my step. And I think you guys were like, what's up? And I'm like, I just feel really good. I feel confident.
Right.
And so I totally get what you mean, that when you do that for yourself and your spouse, it just, you show up differently. You show up a little more confident, I think. And
Yeah.
I feel like you've seen that too.
Yeah. I mean, I think we, we still fall into this, I think probably 3-4 times a year anyway, maybe more. We get dressed up for date night.
Yeah.
I mean, shirt,
fancier.
tie,
Yeah.
I mean, and dress, and it's just, it's the effort.
Yeah.
Right.
And we'll go to a nice restaurant. You don't have to go to a 5-star restaurant, but there's just something about the effort, and so we still do that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important.
Yeah.
It's important for that same reason of just, I'm putting forth effort that, after 12 years of marriage, like
Yeah.
I'm still putting on my best and I'm still giving you my best.
Yeah. And I love that you guys, after 61, almost 62 years, that you're saying the same, that you're still wanting to go back to when you were dating and getting nice for each other.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think that's so good.
Yeah.
Also on here, you talked about just staying along with really, putting forward, your best foot with your looks and keeping yourself, fresh, but also staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that probably goes hand in hand.
Right. Yeah.
You've probably seen the impact of that more in your retired age now, as other people maybe aren't healthy and limited to do things. Or yeah, you can elaborate on what you meant by that. But
Well, as you're right, as you get older, it probably, I know it's important for you to stay healthy when you're young, but if you don't, you really have trouble when you're older. It's because it's a job when you're older. You have to, keep getting your exercise, eating we don't eat as much as we used to eat, but we try to limit the wrong things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I guess we still fall into.
Yeah,
But it's maybe more of a job now
sure.
to stay healthy, because there's just so many things that can go wrong with you,
Sure.
So I don't know. It's a job to keep going, keep trying new things.
Yeah, but you guys seem like you're very active still, which is
Right. We try to
so
be.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Well, Leonard, Roberta, this has been so good. And as we're wrapping up here, do you guys have any closing thoughts or anything that you'd want to share?
Well,
we could talk a little bit about the best date night we've ever had.
We did need to revisit that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Best date night.
We broke up our guest
Yeah, that's
questions,
right.
2 last week and the grand finale 1 this week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for reminding us.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, again, how long ago we've been married, date night wasn't even 2 words that you put together.
Okay.
You had a date before you were married, but once you were married, you went out.
Okay.
Okay.
And we
Sure.
did that. We
Yeah.
did plenty of that. But so I guess what we wanted to just kind of tell you about was we kind of combined our date night into one big night. When we first moved to Sioux Falls, it was our 50th anniversary. And I said, what I would like to do for our anniversary is have everybody from every town where we've ever lived and all of our relation come to a meal.
Cool.
Wow.
And so our daughter got on board with it, and she loves to decorate. And so she made pictures, and she put flowers on the table and made a big to-do. And we had people from George, Iowa, from Del Rapids, from Brainerd, from Beaver Creek, and then all of our families, nieces and nephews. My cousins came from all over because they live all over, and we had the best time. That was the best night.
So fun.
To celebrate. We had a photo booth, with crazy stuff.
Wow.
Because we didn't get to do that when we got married. You had a reception in church.
Sure.
That's what you
Yeah.
did. So we thought we'd like to do that kind of to celebrate our marriage. And we had our son at that time played in a little tiny kind of band, and they played and gave music. It was just wonderful.
So cool.
So it was, and so good visiting with. Brainerd is 260 miles from here, and we still had friends that came.
Wow.
What great friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So and a lot of our relatives too came from. Went from Minneapolis, Denver, all over all over the country.
Wow.
So cool.
So
what a
that-
special time that you'll always remember.
Right. And pictures. We have a lot of pictures
So cool.
of that,
So
different.
cool.
And I think everybody really had a good time.
Yeah.
Our cousins got together, my cousins got together, and they don't get together that often. So that was fun for them.
Sure.
And Leonard's nieces and
Nieces and nephews.
they don't get together that often. And so it was fun for them. It
sure.
was just a great night.
Fun to be in community.
Yeah.
So, and see everyone and make
Yeah.
those memories. That's awesome. Well, thank you both for being on the Celebrate MarriageCast for a second week. Actually, your third time on the MarriageCast. So thank you, Leonard and Roberta, so
Yeah.
much for being
Sure.
here today.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to our listener for joining us today on the Celebrate MarriageCast. If you would like additional help or marriage resources, you can check us out at celebrate.church/marriage. Additionally, we would love to hear your takeaways from this week's show, from last week's show with Leonard and Roberta. We have a message line. You can leave us a message on our voicemail at 605-951-0110. And until then, we hope you have a great week.
Hey, Ryan, Michelle. My husband and I listen to the podcast because this is the second marriage for both of us, and there's just some struggles and things that we've been trying to work through that we didn't realize our previous relationships would impact. I truly just wanted to say thank you for offering these type of resources and helping couples.